What if I told you that the kindest boundaries don't come with a long explanation? They come from knowing your worth and holding steady. Most women avoid firm boundaries because they feel pressure to justify every no until it becomes a maybe, or they soften their limits so much that people walk right through them. Here's the truth that might make you uncomfortable. Being kind isn't the same as being available. And Romeo, my 1,200-pound teacher, is going to show you how to hold boundaries that are both loving and unmovable without saying a single word of explanation. Hey there, I'm Lynn Carpenter with Blissful Heart Coaching. In my coaching, I call this part of the unbridling process gently loosening the old pressure to overgive and reclaiming your right to have needs and limits. If you watched last week's video about sacred fences, you might be thinking, okay, Lynn, that sounds beautiful in theory, but when I actually try to set a boundary, it still feels terrible. Why does doing the right thing feel so wrong? Today, I want to share Romeo's lesson about why boundaries can feel mean even when they're necessary, and how to hold both kindness and firmness without betraying yourself. Romeo is my big bay paint horse, and he has taught me more about boundaries than any self-help book ever could. When he came to me, he'd been abandoned as a young horse. He learned that pushing boundaries was how he stayed safe. He'd test every fence, every gate, every limit. Not because he was bad, but because inconsistent boundaries had taught him he couldn't trust them. Sound familiar? Many of us learned early that boundaries were either non-existent or used as weapons. We never saw boundaries that were both kind and firm. So when we try to set them ourselves, our nervous system goes into panic mode. Here's what I've learned from Romeo. Boundaries feel mean when we're fighting against our own conditioning. That discomfort, it's not truth, it's training. And the truth is, you can be kind and firm at the same time. Your people-pleasing patterns didn't develop overnight. They were survival adaptations that kept you safe when you were small and vulnerable. So when you start setting boundaries, part of you genuinely believes you're putting yourself in danger. Romeo taught me that kind firmness isn't about being nice while setting a boundary. It's about being authentic. When Romeo pushes against a boundary, I don't get angry. I don't explain myself endlessly. I don't apologize or try to convince him it's for his own good. I simply hold the boundary with calm, consistent energy. And here's the key. I don't abandon my compassion for him while I'm holding my ground. This is what most of us get wrong with human boundaries. We think we have to choose between being kind or being firm. But Romeo showed me they're not opposites, they're dance partners. Kind firmness means you can say no with your whole heart. You can still care about the person you're saying no to. You don't have to become harsh or cold to protect your energy. You can honor both your needs and your love for others. But let's be honest about why this feels so hard. When you've spent years saying yes to keep the peace, setting boundaries can feel like you're being selfish or difficult. Your nervous system hasn't learned yet that you can be both loving and boundaried. Romeo used to get anxious when I first started setting consistent limits with him. His whole system expected me to either give in or get harsh. When I did neither, when I stayed calm and kind while holding firm, it confused him. The same thing happens with people in your life. When you start setting loving boundaries, they might push back because your old patterns serve their comfort too. But here's what Romeo eventually learns, and what the people who truly love you will learn too. Consistent, kind boundaries actually create more safety and trust, not less. Here's how to practice kind firmness in real life. Get clear on your why before you communicate your boundary. Romeo taught me that confused energy creates confused responses. If you're not clear on why this boundary matters to you, your delivery will feel wishy-washy. Speak from your values, not your emotions. Instead of, "You're making me feel overwhelmed," say, "I need to honor my commitment to rest this week." Stay present in your body. Romeo can feel when I'm disconnected from myself. People can too. Keep your feet planted, breathe deeply, and remember, setting this boundary is an act of self-respect. Expect discomfort, but don't mistake it for a problem. Romeo's testing behavior wasn't personal. Neither is other people's pushback. The goal isn't to make boundaries feel easy. The goal is to make them feel authentic. When I hold a boundary with Romeo now, I can feel the difference in my body. There's groundedness instead of anxiety, clarity instead of confusion. And underneath it all, love. Love for him and love for myself. Kind firmness isn't about being perfect. It's about being real. Your boundaries might feel mean right now because you're learning a new language. But with practice, consistency, and self-compassion, they can start to feel like coming home to yourself. If you're struggling with boundaries feeling mean or wrong, it might be because you're not clear on your authentic values. When your boundaries are rooted in what matters most to you, they stop feeling harsh and start feeling true. That's why I created a free workbook called Discover Your Unbridled Values. This isn't just another values list. It's the exact workbook I use with my private clients in my 6-month Unbridled Authenticity Coaching Program. And I'm giving it to you completely free. Inside, you'll uncover the difference between borrowed and authentic values. Learn my 3-step process to discover your soul-aligned priorities. Build what I call sacred fences, which are boundaries based on what's precious to you, and create a personal values compass statement to guide every decision. When you know what gives you that full body yes, saying no stops feeling mean. It starts feeling authentic. You can download it now using the link in the description below this video. Remember, kind firmness isn't about becoming someone new. It's about becoming who you've always been underneath the people-pleasing and your social conditioning. You don't have to be perfect. You just have to be you. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.